Hello and welcome to a very special episode of 33 Conversations. I'm your host, Michael Abney, and today I am joined by Corey Harland. He's a reform architect in the city of Minneapolis. He's the founder of House Raising. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and excited to have a conversation with you.
Me too. Corey, what struck me immediately about you when we met a couple of days ago is that you're not waiting for the world to calm down before you lead. You're leading because it's breaking. You've worked inside of a system that's causing real harm. And instead of becoming numb to it or cynical, you choose to see it clearly, call out what's unjust, and still believe something better can be built. This isn't about having the perfect plan today. This is about who you become when the certainty that we all thought we had disappears. So I want to open this up. I know it's a really big question, but what transformation are you in the middle of right now?
I think I'm in the transformation of realizing that power that we have in this moment, realizing that just because things are decaying away and collapsing, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of things. It's actually the rebirth of something new and magical that I think we all get to create however we want and however we see. Um, what you do with that is kind of the scary part, but it's also the part that's the most exciting in my opinion. Um, really just trying to figure myself out and how to live in both of those worlds, the collapse while, building this new system that we get to design how it will work for us.
And since we said Minneapolis, what else do you do in Minneapolis?
Yeah. So my day job, I work for the city of Minneapolis, specifically in police oversight. So the Office of Police Conduct and Review, that office is housed within civil rights, and we take in all the complaints from civilians. They don't have to live in Minneapolis. They can be visitors. They can be people from across the country or the world who sees MPD on the news and has a complaint saying, we believe an officer did something wrong to us or acted out in the wrong way. They file a complaint with us, and then we investigate. I'm the supervisor for the intake part. So everything that comes into our office, I'm the one that manages. I'm the one that sees. So not just the complaints, but the inquiries, the people who have questions, the people who just want to voice anger, that just want to voice themselves, however that might look. And I just manage a team of about 4 people to process everything and get it where it needs to go in the rest of OPCR. So, especially with what's going on currently, definitely seeing an increase of people reaching out with frustrations. I think the most common theme is pain, is what we're seeing. So it's pain in our local law enforcement of not understanding why they're not helping, taking the assumption that our local law enforcement is helping ICE. Frustrations why ICE is being stopped and not being allowed to do the work that they're supposedly allowed to do. So we get it all. And, it's really heavy on the work that I do and on my team. Again, since we're the ones that see 100% of everything that comes in, it takes a toll, but it's something that we're managing to do and something that I think provides great insight into where the whole country is at. It's not just one side that keeps coming to us. It's every side that shows where they're at and where their frustrations are. And I view that as a great gift to be able to see where people are at, even if it is they're all frustrated. You still get to see the volume of frustration and how much frustration's in each bucket. And I think, understanding that is the power of where you can determine what you want to do and how to manage and how to handle that kind of stuff.
So you have a very interesting perspective of, first of all, how are you staying the observer? How are you staying clear? I know when we talked, we wanted a very different podcast just a couple of days ago, and it was okay just to release and have that real conversation with you. And I realized that's not going at the end of the day. Um, I really am my commitment and your commitment, I know, is to make a difference, not add to the noise. There's plenty of that, but provide clarity and by stepping back just a little bit and allowing what you just said to like I'm interested to hear what those frustrations, what you're experiencing from those frustrations, and give us insight where, give us the clarity in the noise that we're all feeling because we just feel the noise.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's the most important thing is to acknowledge how noisy everything is. The things that I do to really step back and be that observer is quite literally step back in everything that I'm doing. So at the end of the day, when I'm done in between, so I do my day job and then I take a break before I do any work for my nonprofit. And in that break is when I take a step back from the world, basically. Really take time for myself and just declutter the garbage that I pick up from the day job by just meditating, doing fun things that I like to do, or just not doing anything. But that time, however I determine to use it, is for me and for me to just recharge and express whatever it is that I'm feeling, however I want to express it in that moment. Um, and then it's coming back and really taking a look at what did I learn today? I try to observe everything in the sense of what can I learn? So even the horrific things that have taken place, what can I learn from this? What valuable lesson is being taught to me because of what happened to Renee Good or Alex Preddy or the 5-year-old little boy who's taken, or the people who are taken from their homes that we don't even hear about? What lesson can I learn from that? And then I pair that with all the conversations that I have, or, like I said, the complaints that come in, and really get this larger perspective. And then when it comes to oversight of the police, we investigate general complaints that have nothing to do with law enforcement actions too. So it's also just getting an understanding of what's happening there, because we have to review their body worn cameras and their squad cameras. So we have the firsthand lens of what officers are seeing and going through and what they're expressing. It's the greatest gift to hear them when they're being observed through their body worn cameras. So I'm really taking all of that in, and really taking the moment to know, what am I hearing? What are the common things that I'm seeing and that are being relayed to me? And then I start categorizing everything. I like to categorize, because once I categorize, I have a better way of action and understanding of what opportunities there are for me to take. Um, so just really taking that time in between both of my jobs to understand what the world gave me as a learning opportunity, and how I can take the frustration and uh, hurt that I'm hearing and seeing, and find the solutions within that. So a lot of people might say, we're at a level, between 1 and 5. 5 is we're doing absolutely amazing. 1 is, we can't even get out of bed. I'm hearing a lot of people saying we're between 1 and 3. Okay, what does that look like? And when people explain, we're hurt, we're scared, we're frustrated. Okay, those are 3 key things. Those are 3 easy things to start targeting. How can I give space to learn more? And maybe that's all I need to do, is to give space. And by giving space, allowing people to come in and share their story, that's where I get to hear more, and I get to observe more, and I get to understand more, and I get to see how the lesson starts to unfold for me, and how I can then meet the lesson, how I can then support the people, how I can then provide guidance and really lead however is needed in that moment with those people or this group of people, or how to communicate out to the world. So I really try to just declutter myself first, and then learn from everything that I've been hearing and seeing in the work that I do.
Can you give us some threads about your observations? Not necessarily about what people are saying to you, but like without saying what they're saying to you, but like give us, I'm just dying to know what those threads are. What are you hearing from both sides? I believe that there's a string between both of us that we can see once the noise is gone and the signal returns, that unites us. Not necessarily that we've um I believe people can be united and not agree. Like it's possible. Um, in fact, it's necessary. But we've been taught, or whatever is out there trying to cause all of this noise. It's for a specific reason. They want to separate it, and I want to use my light and my voice to not dive into it like you are. But what is that you're observing? You have such a unique perspective that the world needs to hear right now.
I think you said it. It's separation. That's the biggest string amongst all sides, amongst the officers, amongst the civilians who are filing complaints saying the police aren't here to protect us, the civilians who are filing complaints saying, why isn't ICE allowed to do what they're supposed to do? Coworkers, people who aren't filing complaints, the common thread is everybody feels isolated and they only have their own perspective. And I think it's a cry for, why isn't somebody hearing us from our perspective on what we're facing? Um, and I think that's the biggest thing that everybody's missing. If people were able to come together and really understand, the vast majority of people don't like what's happening. The people who are complaining about why isn't ICE being allowed what to do don't have the full knowledge and story of what it's actually like living here. Just for context, I work from home for my day job a couple times during the week, and one day I decided to go down to my nonprofit's office. It's a shared space to go pick up the mail and just catch up there real quick. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a street close to where I live. It's called Central Avenue. It is filled with minority businesses, restaurants, grocery stores, convenience stores, bars, just really vibrant street. Driving down there, it's always pretty busy, pretty packed, full of people. But this day I was driving down and it just felt more chaotic. And as I get closer to a certain corner, you start hearing the whistles. And then I got even closer, and then you start seeing people drive erratically, and it's like, what is happening? So then I slow down and come to a point where I had to stop, and it was a cross street. And I look to my right, and down this smaller side street, I see people in the streets fighting ICE. And it reminded me of a movie, and I can't remember. I was thinking about this last night. I don't remember which movie it was, but it's a Holocaust movie. And there was a scene that stood out to me in that movie where two people, they see all the chaos going on around them, and they're walking as fast as they can, just keeping their heads down, just trying to make it to their job, and trying to just not be caught in the hair or the crossfires of what's going on with the Nazis and everything that they were doing. And one of the women, she stopped and looked down this alleyway, and that's where she witnessed Nazis executing two people. The scene I saw was very reminiscent of that. They weren't shooting people or anything, but this clash between ICE and civilians and the chaos that it had erupted of people just driving everywhere, the whistles blaring, the whistles going. People don't understand that when they're complaining and saying, why isn't ICE allowed to do what they're doing? The chaos that they are creating here. People here, absolutely, if there is a criminal who should not be in the country, absolutely, we will support you in getting them and taking them back to wherever they go and having them go through due process, whatever, absolutely. But it's this indiscriminate targeting and ripping of people. Quite literally, the city of Minneapolis had to put out a post to the employees and to the public. If your car is towed because it was left in the middle of the street when you were taken by ICE, we towed it and we're not going to charge you. There are people's homes, the front doors are kicked open and left open, and there's nobody in the home because they come in and take people. They go to the schools, the high schools. They fought some of our high schoolers trying to get into the schools to take people. Like, that's the reality we are dealing with and facing with, and that's why we are fighting of them just having free reign over us. It's not a protest of ICE, you can't do your job. It's you can't do it in the way you're doing it. We're going to stand up to you. If you do it the way that you're supposed to, like we hold our local law enforcement to account, absolutely we will support you, but you're not doing that. So I think that's where the miscommunication is with people is nobody's getting the full picture and the full understanding of the pressures everybody are under. And I think if people had more collaboration and were able to communicate with each other, difficult it would as it would be, in a calmer manner to share their experiences, I think that's where everybody can come together and work together.
And to stand up and to, yeah, because what you're really saying, or what I'm hearing is it's lawlessness. They're not the people that we think are supposed to enforce the law are actually breaking the law right in front of our faces and going, what are you going to do about it?
Yep.
And we've never been confronted with that to what to do about it. And the only thing to do about it is we have to be united in, are we going to be a society that has laws, or are we not going to have it? And it's one that terror tore in our country many years ago about, when one person's not held accountable, there is no accountability. And this is just, it's just continuing, but they're using, I feel that separation. I believe what you're saying is right. No matter how difficult it is to gather people together, to start allowing these connections to happen. I mean, I know it from somebody that has my background of communication and relationship building. I know what that's like. So much of it is just being able to be heard is just about 80% of the it releases the valve, and it helps calm the nervous system. Because you and I talked at the beginning of this call, it's like, Corey, we got to keep our nervous systems calm during this. Otherwise we're not going to be effective, and we're going to be part of the noise. And that's not what both of us are committed to. And saying the thing, saying it out loud. And literally last night here, I get a text that they're going door to door here. And it does. The movie that flashed in my mind was Schindler's List. That was the movie. Is that the one you were thinking of?
Probably, yeah.
Because I only watched that once, and I couldn't move out of that seat in the theater for like 30 minutes because I couldn't stop crying. And I never wanted to watch it again, but I'm literally watching it in real time. And
Yeah.
it's no different when you can gun down somebody in the face and have no accountability, and just the lawlessness of getting up and saying that this person's, a terrorist and all of this stuff, when there's no way that's not who we are. That's not that's not the agreement that I grew up in for the country that I live in. It's not the agreement. And when agreements are broken, we have to re-agree, and powerfully get clear on that. And that takes that level of communication. So whatever that looks like, I'm up for it. I am here for it. And I know you are too. And keep saying that over and over and over and over and over again. Keep making space for it. I'm going to keep doing it. I have opened the door. It's really weird when you don't get very much response to it at the beginning. But I'm just going to keep, it's like anything in marketing nowadays. You just got to keep every day. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm producing content that this conversation I know is going to make an enormous difference for a lot of people, because you're giving us your perspective, which is so needed, because you're standing on the other side of it and somehow clear, which is incredible. I want to know where you got this from. Where did this come from in your background? Like, what gave you this level of maturity that you have, and being able to speak like this and not getting caught into the noise and it's so easy just to check out. It's so easy to be cynical. It's so easy to, make a crazy post that makes no difference, or join the noise. Like, how do you not do that when you're literally in the middle of it?
Yeah. That's a good question and something I go to therapy. I'm a strong believer in mental health, and my background's in the combination of mental health and the criminal justice system. I myself was an at-risk youth who struggled with mental health, and when I was 19 and 25, got arrested because I let alcohol take control of my life and decided to drive those two times. But really trying to process this through the therapy that I've been doing, like, where has my resilience come from and what gives me the power to keep going? And I think it's just a genuine curiosity. I'm always hungry to learn and understand the world around me, and I've always been that way my entire life. Part of my growing up, I was raised by a single mother. She was a master first sergeant in the Air National Guard. So I really understood and saw her as a woman, the struggles she had to go through as a single parent, and really fight for her place amongst her peers. I've seen her cry and break down because of how she was mistreated. Um, and it really gave me insight into understanding, the person I saw was this strong woman who was capable of doing a lot of things. And, I grew up in a trailer, but I never felt like I grew up in a trailer. It was a home. It was a lot of fun loving space and just joy. But to see this strong woman break down multiple times and kind of see the world around her, how they would interact with her and target her and beat her down is really where I started like, why? That doesn't make sense. Why are they not seeing the same person I am? This person who is putting in so much effort, so much love into everything she does. Everything she bought, everything she made was done with love. And it's like, why are people not seeing that? And that's when I first started understanding this difference, them versus us. And then as I started
Mm.
through school, and grade school was good for me. It wasn't stellar, but it was good for me. Once I got into middle school, that's when all the local schools came together because I grew up in a town of 700. So after grade school, we had to go to the larger town where all these small towns came together. And that's where I started experiencing racism and all these other traumas that come with being different, being the other,
The
not
other.
understanding
Yeah.
what was going on because I did nothing. The only thing I did was come to this school, which was in a different town, and I couldn't comprehend what was happening. But the moment I entered sixth grade until I left that school in high school, I was bullied. I was different. I was cast as other. I was everything in the book. I was made fun of for how I walked, for how I talked, for how I didn't talk, for how I did things, didn't do things, how I completed assignments, how I didn't complete assignments, how I dressed, how I didn't, everything. I was made fun of and had some real significant traumas that I went through. And I've learned through therapy that wasn't done to me. That was a beautiful opportunity for me to understand the world in my formative years. When we're learning about the world in general, I got to learn the world as it truly is growing up, alongside with what they try to teach us what the world is. So, because of having
Which are
that
two different
duality,
things.
very, very, very
Yeah.
much. Like I said, the biggest thing is it's us and them. And if you're the us, that means you're the ones in power. You're the ones that dictate how people should be, how people should act, what they should wear, what they should look like, all that kind of stuff. And that always rubbed me the wrong way because, again, it never made sense. Why is there an us and them? Like, none of that makes sense. So I always silently was questioning why. And that's, I think, where I learned to just always be an observer. Part of it was to ensure my own safety, that I wouldn't be harmed. Because, growing up, I can remember somebody shooting at me and the bullet whizzing through my head. Have no clue who it was, have no clue why they shot at me. I can remember another time somebody coming out of a bar drunk, got in his truck, slammed on the brakes, pulled out a gun and pointed at me and my friends. We were just sitting on the steps of the church. Like, we didn't do nothing. So there's these moments where it's just like this really traumatic thing happened for no reason. But I've learned now as an adult through therapy, like, these are opportunities to really see the world, really understand what that being different meant, and the risks that it meant. Um, so I really learned how to engage in, meditation and really checking in with myself. Growing up, the thing that I combated all that with was I was outside all the time. So just being out in nature. My grandparents had 120 acres of farmland, and 80 acres of that was woods. I'd be in the woods all the time, just me and the farm dogs. So I learned how to balance the trauma with nature and healing, so I could come back every day and, okay, here we go. Here's another day. Didn't mean it made it perfect or completely easy, but it made it more bearable, growing up. But there's also this sense of immense isolation, and that's something else I had to learn and understand. And again, which drew me in to understand what was going on with me and why did I feel so isolated, and who could I talk to, who couldn't I talk to. And in doing that, again, you had to observe, you had to understand the mannerisms of people, and does it match the words that they're saying. So I really started unintentionally observing people's behavior, and is your behavior matching what you're saying? And then once I got into college, it was, how can I be the person I would have needed growing up? So
Yeah.
that's what drove me into the work that I'm doing of working with at-risk youth. And in that combination of the mental health world and the criminal justice world is, I have family who are law enforcement. I have family, like I said, my mom, aunts, uncles, cousins who are all in the military. Like, I value law enforcement and military. Like, I see the purpose and I understand firsthand the sacrifice that is. I support it. I was just trying to rebel and say, I don't want to go down their footsteps, but I still want to be connected some way. So let me do this criminal justice thing and figure out where I can go within it. I didn't want to be a cop again. So I said, okay, ended up doing diversion work, ended up doing treatment court work, deferred plea agreement work, and then creating my nonprofit that works with at-risk youth in the legal system. Um, but yeah, it was just all of that stuff of learning who I was and trying to understand the world around me that drew me in, that forced me to be an observer. And because I was always asking the question why, my mom says that was uh, the one thing that annoyed her the most, is I asked why for absolutely everything. And I understand as an adult now why I did that, is because I was learning. I was learning the reality of the world I was living in, and not just the one that was being taught to me. So I
Yeah.
really took the time to observe and figure out and, really try to navigate.
You really, I know you don't know maybe what you just provided a context for this entire, what we're going through this is an opportunity to see clearly who we are so that we
Yes.
can make a choice to become who we're going to become, not based off of us, them, but us. And, wow, that gives that, I feel that, like, and you also, like, you're a mirror of exactly how I grew up, from religion to, I grew up on a farm too. 80 acres is what we had. Played around in the woods, loved it. And there were so many things that I didn't understand. And to this day, I am like, I was taught this was this way, and it's really not. Um, yeah. But instead of being mad about that, um, or I'm able to process it now, and you're helping me process what I didn't understand about this being an opportunity. That shifts everything. It also gives the doorway to open up to have these meetings, conversations, whatever that forum looks like. At the end of the day, it's us getting together and talking and sharing what we're experiencing so that we can see it for what it is. Like, that's the context. That's the context. And context is decisive. Mm. And that's what's missing, because when you get the context, that creates that dissolves in the uncertainty, or makes the uncertainty in alignment with what we're doing. And it no longer becomes fear, because when fear is there in the separation, the us, them, our mind makes up really shitty stories about what the information is. And you're sitting here sharing with me your perspective, and you're unwiring so many things that I have been floating around about what's going to happen here. It was, and everybody's doing a best job that they can. I totally get that. There's nothing wrong. I see clearly about the energy of non-reaction. Um, what you resist persists is not just a little refrigerator magnet. It's like real. Like, but at the same time, I understand where people are. I want to get people where they're at. And that's the part about leading. And that's the part about what you're also doing, on the second half of your day, that other space. Share with me a little bit about what you're creating with your nonprofit and how that relates to, and I bet it's also giving, relates to what your life is about, but it's also giving balance to the other side of your life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
very much so. Yes, lots of balance. Really trying to seek and build that because I find it important to have both sides. If I don't have both sides, then you start teetering to one side and then you lose that context. You lose that perspective of neutrality and understanding. So House Raising is a nonprofit that I created back in 2022. Um, the core program is called Holistic Diversion. What I'm trying to do is work with youth between the ages of 10 and 25 who are involved or at risk of being involved with the legal system and do a diversion based service with them for a year. What that encompasses is holding them accountable. Obviously, if you are getting into trouble, then yes, you're going to be held accountable of that was wrong, and we're going to understand why that was wrong. But then the majority of the focus is on opportunity. So, okay, yep, you did some wrong things or you're doing some wrong things, but what are some better things for you? What are some experiences that you could undertake and explore to discover yourself and really live a better life, one that you're more proud of and one that's not designed based out of fear and hurt? Um, we provide monthly curriculum. I'm in the middle of revamping it a little bit, so I don't remember entirely which each month is, but like one month is conflict resolution, relationship management, money management. Um, I think we have the newest one I did was business management. So just understanding your core basic life principles of how do we navigate these, but each month slowly ties into each other. So you understand like conflict resolution, you're going to find that in work or in a business. You're going to find that in relationships, which is why then we talk about relationship management. So each monthly theme is supposed to tie into each other and give this bigger overall picture for a youth to understand and like starting to engage the world. But it's also really for them to explore their own curiosity and their own questions. I know one month we had it was around internet safety and how to appropriately engage on the internet. And the youth loved it. They just asked tons of questions. We brought in somebody from the community whose background was in IT and provided the context and how to be safe and what's not safe and this relationship that they were starting to build to better understand the world around them. It wasn't me doing it. I just created the space for them to meet and for them to have that connection and to build whatever that relationship was going to look like for them. So I do that each month. The goal is to have these guest speakers come in while we also teach them the topic for the youth to understand the world around them, understand what they want to do, how they want to engage in their life, really giving them ownership and power over their own lives. Because one thing I discovered when I was a youth, and one thing I've discovered from all the conversations I've had with kids I've worked with is everything's being told to us. Everything's being done to us. We don't have a say because we're not an adult. And it's like, well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's true because it's for your own safety. But to your point, it's your life. You should have a say as much as possible wherever feasible. So that's the kind of space I'm trying to create. And then if possible, this is the part that's been the struggle is trying to really connect them with business in the community that's in the arts or trades. Two reasons. It allows the youth to do hands-on type of experience. And when they're hands-on and have the ability to create something that is tangible one way or the other, I feel like there's going to be that lasting, like, I did something really cool. I really like that feeling and I can keep coming back to it as a reminder whenever I'm feeling down or I feel like the world is against me, I can come back and be like, I created that. I had a part in building this. Uh, it's one reason. And then the other reason is because the arts and trades industries are dying. And it's a hope to try and get, do my part as best as I can of getting the new generation in there to help, revitalize this important industry of people who are creating and who are building and making the world function. Um, that's been the tougher part, but that's the goal. Is again, it's about me being the conduit between these youth, understanding themselves, and then connecting them with their community. So that way, when they're done with our program, it's not that they're losing me or eventually my staff. It's us merging them back with their community. So that way, when we're not there, they won't even miss us. They won't even realize we're not there because they'll have been supported by their community and they'll be able to go and recognize, oh, that uh, hardware shop, they know me because I worked with them and I know I can trust them and get advice. Or, this person, they mentored me. I can go and talk to them. Or my family got support. I can have a better way of engaging with them and having a relationship with them. So that's the core program that I'm trying to do. And then I have some break off programs. It's really coming to the community to meet them wherever they're at. So if holistic, this year-long program's not what they need, but they need shorter versions, we have traditional diversion, shorter versions. If you only need anger management, there's an anger management. We're also exploring, me and the board are exploring truancy type services. So how can we support youth directly in the school kind of thing? So it's really all about how can I meet the youth where they're at and give them the tools and the experiences that benefit them. Not me telling them this is what you need to do and how you need to do it, but just in my experience, this is what helped me. Take it or leave it, but it's up to you.
Yeah. As someone who, that's the key. As someone who, well,
Yeah.
as someone who has done 109 podcasts so far, this is an extraordinary one. You, you, you give me a face to the the police department in Minneapolis. You've given me a face to the humanity in Minneapolis, and I'm just so happy that I got to know you and have this conversation. Um, it it cleared so much for me, and I know it's going to clear a lot for a lot of people too, um, that are listening to this, because like I hear it constantly here in St. Louis that Minneapolis is our hero, and it is, and you're my hero. You're the
Thank
icon
you.
that's now in my little mental brain that says, "Oh, there's good people there. There's good people there. There's good people there."
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I appreciate you coming on and taking this on with me, this difficult subject, and making clarity and giving it context. Um, is there anything else that you would like to share before I give you your closing question?
Yeah, I think just going back to your comment of, people down there saying Minneapolis is their heroes, I think people should know we don't hear that enough. So again, about this connectedness, we feel very isolated up here because we're on the front lines, if you'll say, and really trying to navigate the relationships amongst ourselves. Like I said, our MPD is struggling because they're in the middle of both sides and getting yelled at both sides. We're feeling victimized and, why aren't the police helping us? And which community member are they going to take? So to hear and understand that the rest of the country and other people are supporting us and looking up to us in that sense, I think goes a long way and starts removing that us versus them. It's us
I'm
standing up for
mm,
everybody. So
I can fix that shit. Yeah, you're gonna hear it. Are you on
awesome.
Facebook at all? Are you on Facebook at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. You give me your link. I'm going to make sure that people tell you exactly what that is, because I hear it constantly, and I know our entire country knows that for some reason why certain people chose Minneapolis. I have no idea, but you know what I have heard, besides the hero, is that it's a beautiful city. People that have went there, it's like it's also quintessential Midwest. I'm in the Midwest. We're still misunderstood about who we are and what we're up for and what we're capable of.
Yep.
And you're demonstrating, so that's why it resonates so strongly here. And I know it does across the country because I talk to people across the country and the world every single day. So it's the thing that always comes up in every single conversation for the past month that I've had with founders um is this, because nobody knows how. None of us know. None of us have the answer, but each of us has a piece of the answer. And when we connect and start putting that puzzle together, there is no stopping. Well, there isn't any stopping now, because a line has been crossed that we actually do see people. And saying it out loud today, yeah, we see you. And yeah, my background taught me how to deal with narcissistic energy. And when it's seen, it throws a huge hissy fit. and but it has no power. It has zero power except for fear and division. That's it. That's all they got. And but when it's seen, it dissolves just like the Wicked Witch, like just like that. That's what being
Yes.
seen dissolves. It it like right it ups the level of humanity, and it destroys everything else that's not that. And out of this and out of us, thank God you grew up the way you grew up. Thank God I grew up the way I grew up, because I would be able to handle it right now. But I was made for this. You're made for this. And it's awesome to connect. And it's just the beginning. Just the beginning.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Here's my closing question for you. So, for a person listening who feels the world collapsing beneath them, because it's happening personally too for all of us. What do you want them to trust about themselves right now?
This is a great question. To trust in yourself, in the fact you don't need to know. You don't need to know how to respond. You don't need to know how to support. You don't need to know anything. All you need to know is we're all in this together. We're all here together, and we all need to be supporting each other. The ground is collapsing. I, with my background, I embrace change and I find celebration in it. Um, for a quick example, we had a resiliency trainer come into our job and asked everybody how they were doing. And like I said, everybody said 1 to 3. I said I'm a 4, and I'm holding the energy of excitement. The collapse is exciting. I think the best thing I ever heard, and maybe this will help people understand the context, but this is a rebirth of our country. And the birthing process is never fun or pleasant or whatever, even for the guys standing holding, or the partners holding the wife's hand or the girlfriend's hand, like they're squeezing your hand, the pain, it's not pleasant, but it brings such amazing opportunity and transformation. And you don't know in that moment of birth what's going to happen, but you trust in yourselves, you trust in the support that you are building around you, that it's going to come out okay. And as every parent I've ever heard, they said once that child came out, it fundamentally, cellularly changed them to, this is why I'm here.
Yes. I just had a part of my awakening, is that I've been a healer my whole life. Like 96, I became a process of becoming a Reiki master and energy, and just something I've always hid about myself. And I pulled that shit out of the closet a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like ready to use this, because I opened myself up to connecting people in the community. And what I realized was it was this moment after the moment that I was like, oh, that's just, we can move that gets shipped out. And it's like, I can, I can help people with that. And it felt good to help somebody with something that was real and they could feel it instantly in their body. But I recently had a deeper healing session with somebody, and it was brought up that she did not really understand what unconditional love was. And it popped in my head about birth. And I always ask that the universe helps me channel and say what I need to know in the moment that makes the difference. And instantly popped in my head. I said, you have a son. I said, you do know what unconditional love. It was the first second that you held him. That's what unconditional love was. And she goes, oh, you're right. So we're all about to cut the fucking cord and experience unconditional love.
Yeah. But to your point, Michael, can I also just point out to you and to people who are listening, you said an important thing. I think what people can do. The side who is here for hate and unapologetic about it, like they have shown us who they are. And I think maybe one of the other common themes I'm picking up on for the rest of us, we're all still hiding parts of ourselves,
Yourself.
our entire selves. I
Yeah.
think take the risk and be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Don't hide things anymore.
It, 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 it yeah, we talked about this too, and we didn't bring it up during the show so far, but it's this point of it's okay. Like that we are human beings. We are human beings. And there, for whatever reason, if someone has lost their humanity, that's on them. That's on them. From here on out, this is the line in the sand. And the choice isn't us or them. It's are you a human being or are you not?
Yep.
Period. End
Yep.
of story. The earth is for human beings and to be in communion with all of the nature and the beauty and be at one with everything that's happening and support each other. Why the hell? I can't imagine why a human being would not want those things because I am a human being and connected to spirituality and whatever you call it. And there's something bigger that runs through all of us. If you can't see that, it's time for you to step aside because I do see it. And I see you and you're a human being and human beings recognize each other. We also recognize people that are not currently accepting that. And that's okay. It's a free will world, realm, whatever you want to call it, but step aside because
Yep.
your way doesn't work. And we're clear on that now. And
Yep.
I'm here for a world. People make fun of me for saying it, but I believe that we are capable of creating a world that works for everybody. I believe that's why we're here.
Absolutely.
And it's not a
Absolutely.
utopian thing. It's not utopia. It's not some pie in the sky shit. It's real. There is no reason why we cannot figure out how to create a world that works for everybody.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And if you don't want that, you're not a human being. You're not human or being. We see you.
Right.
So
Yep.
keep talking, keep making your comments because all you do is just out yourself. And one day, very, very soon, that is going to be something that you will very much regret because we'll never not see that. And at the same time, human beings are forgiving and they're open. And if you see it and you want to be a human being again, this is where we live. That's
Exactly.
the way we take our power back is by owning that we're human being and it requires our authenticity. So yeah, I'm coming out as a healer and this is my gift, part of it. I'm
Yeah.
multifaceted. So are you. And
Exactly.
our trauma that we all lived, and so many people grow up in trauma. It's not to carry the trauma sign and the victim sign anymore. It's like understanding that that really is our superpower is owning that and activating what it gave us as an opportunity. And that's the real this is seriously one of the best conversations I've had on the podcast. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciated it so much.
Yeah. Thank you for being courageous over being comfortable. I really, really appreciate it. 33 conversations exist for people who are willing to lead in the middle when it's messy. Birth is messy, absolutely, without a script, no hiding and pretending that it's easy because it's not. But it does get easier when we stop resisting what we've been holding back. And your work shows what's possible when we stop waiting for permission. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. But yeah, stand back and we're going to let you know how much we appreciate you.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
You guys go out and have an amazing conversation with somebody that you've never met. It's now never been more important to do that. Step out of your comfort zone. If you have another one, keep going. It gets easier. And pretty soon we're having more conversations with more people that are human being and want to be human being. right here, right now. We will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.